All right, let's talk about something that affects millions of us, debt. It can feel like this constant nagging stress in the back of our minds. One of the biggest solutions you always hear about is debt consolidation. But here's the thing, does it actually fix the problem, or is it just kicking the can down the road? Let's dive in and figure it out.
Before we even get into the spreadsheets and interest rates, we have to talk about the human side of this. Debt isn't just about numbers on a page. It's a heavy, heavy weight. It can mess with our mental health, our stress levels. It can even hit our sense of self-worth, making us feel, well, just like the quote says, helpless.
So, that leads us to the big question here. Debt consolidation is often sold as this silver bullet, right? A simple, clean way to make all that stress just disappear. But is it really the right move for everybody? That's what we're here to unpack.
And that financial stress, it isn't just in your head. It shows up in real physical ways. We're talking constant anxiety, trouble sleeping, even headaches. It creates this vicious cycle where the money stress hurts your health, which then makes it even harder to get a handle on the money.
Okay, so with that heavy stuff in mind, let's look at this thing that's often pitched as the solution. What in the world is debt consolidation really, and what's it supposed to accomplish?
So what is it really? At its heart, it's all about reorganizing. You take all those different debts, the credit card bills, the car loan, medical bills, whatever you've got, and you roll them all into one single new loan. The idea has two parts. First, to simplify your life with just one payment, and second, hopefully, to get a lower interest rate and actually save you money. And this, right here, this is the big promise. It's the sales pitch, really. Trading the absolute chaos of juggling half a dozen due dates and crazy interest rates for the simple clarity of one payment, one rate, and a clear path forward. Just getting back that sense of control can be a huge psychological win. And look, the savings can be huge. We're not talking about a few bucks here. Just look at this data from last November. The average credit card is charging you almost 20%. Meanwhile, the average personal loan, which is a super common way to consolidate, is closer to 12%. If you've got decent credit, that 8-point difference can save you thousands and thousands of dollars in interest. But, and this is a huge but, not all debt consolidation is the same. The tool you use to do it, well, that changes everything. So let's break down the main ways people do this. Okay, let's walk through the big three players here. First, you've got the personal loan. It's unsecured, which is great. It means you're not putting your car or your house on the line. Then you've got the balance transfer credit card. Super tempting with that 0% intro rate, right? But it's a race against the clock. If you don't pay it off before that promo ends, the interest rate can skyrocket. And then there's the home equity loan. It often has the best interest rates, but the risk is off the charts. We're talking foreclosure. You are literally betting your house.
And that home equity loan risk? That brings us to the dark side of debt consolidation. Because as great as it can be, it is absolutely a double-edged sword. There are some serious hidden risks you have to know about before you even think about signing on the dotted line.
I love this quote from Ramsey Solutions because it just nails the biggest criticism. Consolidation doesn't make your debt vanish, it just moves it from one place to another. Think about it, if you don't fix the spending habits that got you into debt in the first place, you could end up with that big consolidation loan and a new pile of credit card debt.
Okay, this is probably one of the biggest traps people fall into. Your eyes get big when you see that nice low monthly payment, and you automatically think, wow, I'm saving a ton of money. But it's not always that simple.
So you're probably asking, how do they get that payment so low? Well, often it's by playing with time. They stretch the loan out over a much longer term, say 5 years instead of 3. And here's the catch. Even with a lower interest rate, a longer loan means you could end up paying way more in total interest over the life of that loan.
Okay, now I want you to pay really close attention to this next part, because it's the single biggest risk, especially when you use your house as collateral. You're starting with things like credit card debt, right? That's what we call unsecured debt.
But the moment you pay off those credit cards with a home equity loan, you've just transformed all of it into secured debt. This is a fundamental change in the game.
You've now tied that old credit card debt directly to the deed of your house. And here's why that is so dangerous. If you stop paying your credit card, your credit score gets destroyed. It's bad. But if you stop paying your home equity loan, the bank can take your home. The stakes aren't just higher, they're catastrophic.
All right, so we've seen the good, and we've definitely seen the bad. How in the world do you figure out if this is the right move for you in your specific situation?
Look, debt consolidation can be a fantastic tool, but only if you check these boxes.
1, you've got good enough credit to actually get a lower interest rate. 2, you can comfortably afford the new single payment. And 3, this is the most important one, you are committed to changing the financial habits that caused the debt to begin with.
And on the flip side, here are the giant flashing red lights that tell you to run the other way. If you can't get a better rate, what's the point? And be honest with yourself. If you see this as a way to free up your credit card so you can go spend more, you're not solving a problem. You're just creating a much, much bigger one.
And it's so important to remember this. Consolidation is not the only game in town, not by a long shot. There are other really powerful ways to get out of debt, and frankly, they often do a better job of fixing the root problem.
So let's talk about one of the most famous alternatives, the debt snowball. This one is all about psychology. You list your debts from smallest to largest, and you throw every extra penny you have at that smallest one. Once it's gone, you get this huge emotional boost, this quick win. Then you take the money you were paying on it and snowball it onto the next smallest debt. You build momentum. Then there's another path, a debt management plan, or DMP. Think of this as bringing in a professional coach. You work with a credit counseling agency, usually a nonprofit, and they negotiate with your creditors for you to get lower rates. You make one payment to the agency, and they handle the rest. It's a great option if your credit isn't good enough to get a great consolidation loan on your own.
And that really brings us back to the main point, which financial expert Bernadette Joy just sums up perfectly. She sees it all the time. People consolidate, feel a little breathing room, and then rack up more debt. Because they never dealt with the why. They never fixed the root cause.
So I'm going to leave you with this one question to think about. At the end of the day, what's your real goal? Are you just looking for a smaller monthly payment to get by? Or is your goal to become truly 100% debt-free for good? Your honest answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about what to do next.